Alrighty, hello there. I wanted to do this guide for a long time, simply because so much has changed with the route. It's mostly little details, but they make a lot of a difference. And now that I've beaten the record, even though it was already beaten back by JK, it kind of shows that there's a lot of motion now. And ideally, if people want to join the big new, like, any percent hunt for the sub, I don't know, 56, 55, whatever. These are the essentials. So basically what this guide will be is a summary of all the things that are different compared to a boss rush. So I won't explain the skips themselves, but rather give you like a foundation to, from a boss rush, neatly change over into an any percent. This won't include the paths. For the paths, just watch a world record run or any of the top runs, I guess. These are literally just the setups for the skips or skips that are done differently in the any percent run. I will try to keep it short, so there's the overview. I will make timestamps for them in the description as well as in a pinned comment or something. So if you just want to watch some part of it, you can do it that way. Anyway, let's start. Alrighty, let's start with quad. So most of you will know that in the any percent run what we do is we trigger the cutscene from above to jump on quad. That's the easy part. But to optimize this, you can do a lot of things which will make the run a lot easier, simply by being able to fully skip the plant and get back in a fast way. I will point at things with my mouse. I guess that's the bare bones, but you'll have to live with it. So first thing that's kind of important here is we wait in the cutscene for aggro to stop shaking, because if you skip the cutscene early, aggro will still shake after the cutscene. The benefit of that is as long as we don't have control in the cutscene, then we don't lose any IGT. So as you can see here, I'm waiting and only now skipping so I can do the instant quick start. Now the relevant bit is where to jump to. You can see this thing right here. You always want to jump at the top here at first. The reason is if you jump down here, you will still trigger the cutscene and all, but you don't want to trigger it instantly. You want to first be here to then trigger it in a specific way. So I land here. And now what I do is I jump down here. As soon as I land on this platform, Wander will start triggering the cutscene. But the difference is, while you are still here, you have just enough time to jump downwards, and that's what you want to do. And like, if you're unsure about this, just practice it. Here is another thing in this cutscene. You can skip the cutscene a bit later, and that will make it so Wander drops down further before you gain control again. It's a bit of an IGT time save. I wouldn't personally recommend waiting too much. I usually wait just a little bit. And here what you want to do, what you might have not seen here, wait, give me just another second. So what I do during this cutscene is I hold right and grab already. So this way you can grab onto here and that completely cancels the fall damage. If you do that way, Wander gets to go immediately, and that is important because now you just jump and start stabbing kind of here. You can do it further up. It's a bit of a preference thing. I like it down here because that way you can almost guarantee to not get a plant. And that is the important part. You want to skip this plant at all costs. And then you do one full stab, second full stab, and then the last one I do is like 80%. And if you did it right, you get this flung. Now, after you get flung, there's multiple ways to land. If you land here, it's perfect. But sometimes you land kind of here, and this is where I do a side jump to get back directly. And the other important thing is, once you're at that point, you want to jump onto these like stone structures as soon as possible. That will make it so quad doesn't do the shake, and you want to avoid that shake to save time. So basically immediately as I land here, I get onto the stone structures down here and do the cycle steps. That is quad. Right next to the next part. Here I actually am using a run which is not my world record, simply because of my world record I kind of failed the Gaius. It's probably the hardest skip for any percent in my opinion anyway, because I tend to lose the most time here. And you might have noticed that all the top runners stopped doing the launch. That is because the launch just isn't optimal anymore. So what you want to do here is kind of go here and go to this part of this and do a small side jump. You barely charge it, kind of like with Basaran and Argus. It's not strictly necessary, but this will just give you enough of a boost where you can do this, where you kind of either stumble or just land behind it and go directly to here. And now this is the important part. So as soon as you get up here, the cutscene will be starting to trigger. Here you want to do a hop as soon as possible. And once you have done that hop, you want to do double rolls continuously. This is important. Why? Because that way you can trigger Gaius to instantly charge the sword, which is a big time save compared to what it used to be. Just take a look. I jump, double roll, and double roll again. So if you did this correctly, you get about 2 double rolls in before the cutscene starts. And then you just keep going. Double roll, and then you can start. I'm not quite sure if anything but double rolls works as well, but double rolls are the easiest to make it work. Double rolls are fairly easy to execute. You can watch my basics guide on how to do it. It's fairly simple, just requires modern remapped. And now here is a bit of a tough part. You need at least 3 fully charged arrows for the Betty sigil to be as low as you need it to be to get it down in 3 full stabs. So this is a bit of a tight timing. You kind of want to always aim here, this way. 1, 2, 3, and jump back past it, otherwise you get squished. So you want to do it continuously. Usually what I do here is another 4th one, because you just get enough time just to be safe. And as soon as you've done that, if you noticed that you didn't get the 3 arrows in, the fastest way would be to still do the strat that I'm doing and then later drop down and finish the belly. Alternatively, you can also skip doing the jump to the side altogether, because it's fairly hard to get good at it. You can also just go on the back. I did it in my any percent world record, or well, now PB. It's still faster than a launch if you do it right. So the way you do it is get up here. You can also do it with kind of a launch, but this is easier most of the time. It will just make the stabs on the belly a little bit tighter on the timing. But the way this works is you grab onto here, and then it's important when you let go. Here, you saw that Gaius basically normalized the position of his arm. And this is when you immediately let go, jump onto this part of Gaius right here, stumble and jump. That will allow you to get onto here, where you do a side jump to get up here and do 3 quick cycle stabs. This is an execution-based thing. It's fairly hard to get good at. What I recommend is to get a good position. You kind of line up here, run up a little, grab, and then go up once. That will allow you to get a positioning, which allows you to cycle step very easily. Though, you have to keep in mind that the camera is very funky if you do this strategy. So what you want to do is keep the camera to the right as much as possible, otherwise it will invert on you. On yourself. This is just a practice kind of thing. So 3 full steps, 1, 2, 3, and then instantly run and jump. And if you did it just right, you get this, where you then can finish the sigil and be done in the equivalent of, I don't know, 55 seconds or something. well, it's not quite as fast as Vael because it uses a different way of getting to the hand, but it also triggers the whole animation faster, so it probably evens out roughly. I will also show you what the backup is if you didn't get it in the run, or if it's simply too hard for you and you want an easy alternative. So this is my world record run where I failed to get the steps in fast enough. But it still went considerably faster than a launch would have. Just take a look. I can even put this away just so you have a reference. I jumped past, did the arrows, got up here, and now you can probably see one of the issues that sometimes happen here. Normalize, jump, side jump input, get up here, keep the camera steady. 1, 2, 3. Looks good, right? And then I jump and the grab wasn't quite as right, so I can't make this jump. So then you want to go onto the back right here and do like a half charge jump to get up here. And if you do this right, you still get up there in a decently fast manner, simply because the fact that the animations are better used. So usually this one isn't really slower than the launch, and I'm talking about a successful launch. I recommend it for anyone really, because it's much easier, especially if you don't do Valor strat that can make it fail. So yeah, that's Gaius. Phaedra setup will be a quick one. Basically, as you run towards Phaedra, you kind of want to aim for the left of the area, because you spawn there during the cutscene. What is important is don't hold any direction after you skip the cutscene. I did that subconsciously a lot, and that will make aggro turn. So don't hold anything. And then there's 2 ways to do it. What you wanna specifically take a look at, let me put this into view, is this far back leg. So Phaedra's back right. On our view, it's the left. That leg will start going and then stop going. So if you want to do the IL strategy of launch, you want to start running right before it steps onto the ground. If you want a chill way of doing this with like the regular non-IL strat, you wait till it actually touches the floor. So here you see I go right before it, and that allows me to get the same animation as I would like to have during the IL. But this is a separate way. If you want it to be easy, just wait for the leg to step up and step onto the ground, and then you go. And yeah, the rest is just Phaedra regular. You can watch our videos for that. Alrighty, Barba is next. Here we do an any percent specific strategy where we skip the cutscene at a very specific moment in time, which allows us to drop directly onto Barba. The benefit is, during the cutscene, IGT isn't counted, so none of this actually counts towards the game time, but also in any percent you can move Wonder's character directly after skipping the cutscene, as opposed to a little bit later, like in Boss Rush. So this allows us to actually grab, while in Boss Rush if we did this, you can see him still spawn, but he can't grab because you don't have control. For that, I usually jump stab down into his arena, and then do a little jump and weapon switch, which just starts the cutscene a little earlier. Now, this will be a bit hard to point out. I'll try my very best, and I will probably add a little picture where I pointed out after to what to look for. But there's basically 2 ways of doing this. Oh god, okay. So, one of it is this dot. When you know the dot, you will see it, but some people say they don't even see the dot on the monitors. I usually play on a computer monitor and put my face into the screen. You want to skip right as this dot goes by. Alternatively, on the same line, there's this line. So once the line equals the ground, this is when you want to skip the cutscene. I will add a picture right now where I point them out in better quality. Alrighty, other than that, let's keep going because this is not all of it. So once you skip, there's two ways to land here. Sometimes you can grab directly like this. Other times he keeps falling. If he keeps falling, you hold forward and grab, and then you will grab further down. The important part is, no matter what you do, is how to get up here. You want to keep re-grabbing, but not just spam it. You want to re-grab in a specific kind of cycle. What I usually do when I'm down here is first charge a jump and then do it. But here I kind of do the same. And as you saw, right as Wander swings to the side, when he's there swinging, this is when I want to keep re-grabbing because the momentum is on my side. Here I wait and then I can get all the way up here. It's a bit tricky, but practicing it will help immensely. But if anything, even just grabbing there and climbing up the normal way is still way faster than the other methods. So yeah, this is Barba. So, not gonna lie, I'm kind of proud of the Hydrus setup because I came up with it. Before it used to be like a 50-50 and most runs would die on Hydrus. Now, if you can do Hydrus skip in boss rush, you can do Hydrus skip in any percent as well. First of all, once you start running into this cutscene, usually aggro will run forward. You want to keep the cutscene going as long as possible to save in-game time. Here, aggro kind of stops early, so I also stop early. The important part is, you want to then jump off aggro and line up this part of like the edge here. And what you want to do is a full jump where you hold jump all the way into forward. Down here, you see this little curve, you want to land to the left of it. If you land too close, the problem is that your camera will stop being like stable. So you want to kind of land parallel to it, kind of like here. And then swim forward. And then you skip, and the important part is that you want to look in your settings. Ideally you have boss health and stamina health bar always on. It is a setting that you can only change in-game, but it is of great benefit because we can use that as timing. So basically, as you get here, what I do is, once Hydrus' health bar spawns up top, I kind of do a jump. It's a full jump where you hold jump. Top right, almost fully to the right, kind of in this direction. And then, once you do that, there's I count swim animations. 9 without counting the first one. So the first one is kind of half a swim and then 9 full swims. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, and once you get here, good job, you pretty much got the Hydrus skip setup. This will work pretty much every time. I usually just set up looking upwards and then jump step to the right like that. And there you go, this is the Hydrus skip setup. Alrighty, now another quick yet effective one, the Basaran setup. It used to be a bit of a pain, now it's very easy and saves time on top. So, I'm going here, and there's this little geyser that you will see if you go here, where you stay on the right of it. You keep going forward, and now there's these rocks where I stay in the middle of those rocks. This is the general setup, it used to be like that anyway. But now the difference, instead of skipping the cutscene, you just wait. You just wait, and during this animation here, once Basaran hides his own eye in the view, this is when you skip the cutscene, like that. And now, you can just do a quick start and go right into the IL. Basaran will just behave. There you go, you save time, a lot of headaches, and it's a lot easier and faster. Alright, another quick and easy one. Dirge. We used to go to the right of this pillar to simulate how it's in the IL. Just go to the left of it. Instead, kind of like this. And then as soon as the health of the boss appears, this is when you run forward. You can, instead of the boss health, also use your own health. It doesn't really matter too much, but after experimenting with it a bit, you will see it lines up pretty much the same as if you used this in boss rush, which will make it easier for you to adapt. It's definitely better than not having a setup, because in any percent, if you don't have a setup for Dirge, it's just pain. And this one works very well. I was almost not sure if I should put this in there, because it's kind of a routing thing, but it is beneficial to know how to do this, because when I first started any percent, I would just fail this all the time. So on Celosia, you run towards him. What you want to do is, you can either do this the safe way, where you first drop off aggro and then jump, or you can just do it directly off of aggro. The way to do it is, once you get to this little cliff, you want to aim here to this part of it. So either you drop down and then jump to it and then drop down, or you just jump directly off aggro as I do here. And then as you align here, you kind of stick to the wall and then you land here. Once you land here, you kind of want to spam grab to get up quicker. And then you can go directly to the Colossus, like all the way down there to trigger him, and then you start the fight. Very easy. Now, Pelagia also used to be a little nightmare until I think JK found this setup, where you can make it the same as the Yell by simply, here, as you swim towards it, you want to swim past it. You don't want to get on here, because then Pelagia will see you earlier, but you just kind of swim past it, around it, kind of like that. And then you swim forward and get up here, and this lines it up as if this was Yell, so you can do the double weapon. This one might be a bit difficult to time if you don't have the timer. What I do here usually is, once I get here, there's this moment where it starts moving here, and then as it stops. It's a bit of a feeling kind of thing, but you can just take a closer look at the exact timing and emulate it. It's not too bad. And then you can do the whole IL setup. I have a different video on that, so watch that if you want to go into detail there. Now probably to the most impactful thing on the run. A little bit of history to this one. There used to be a guy called Frequency, he hasn't been active in years, who had this setup for Phalanx. And this setup for Phalanx used to go to the right of the arena. And the fact that you went to the right of the arena made it so this setup was probably not worth doing. So instead we used to do a setup where we kind of tried to emulate the IO to the best of our ability. That one had two very big downsides. It is RNG dependent, and it's kind of hard to do. And it also wastes time setting up. So then, I think JK had the idea, or PTO, I'm not sure, I won't say names if I don't know fully. One of the two other guys, not me in any case. I think it was JK. We went in there and tried the frequency setup from the front, and it just worked. And now I will show you what the frequency setup is. I'm using a different run here compared to my world record, because here I actually did it fairly well. So you kind of want to line up to the right entrance here. You want to make sure where, if you line up the camera, you see the entrance full all the way through. Like as you see here, as I line up, well, now probably you will be able to see. You want to see the exit as the entrance on the same way, so you kind of line up in that way. And then what you do is you, as you enter the cutscene, you hold to skip it instead of doing the like usual skip cutscene input. That's to delay the start, so you just hold X here. And then you do two inputs for the accelerate on aggro in a way where you see Wonder Kick aggro twice. And while you do that, you hold L1, or whatever controls you're using, the one that puts the focus onto the Colossus. It's either L1 or L2. And that will allow you to get to the arrow shots easier. So basically, you get in there, hold to skip cutscene, then you do 1, 2 kicks, and hold L1 to do 1 arrow shot here, in front of it, 1 here, and this last one is a bit tricky. This one you need to practice, but you hold it kind of on top of it, a bit further up than you'd think. And then what I do here is I hold L1 and go to the left. And if you did the arrow shots right, with the right acceleration, Phalanx will always drop below the sand. It's not as far down as the Fayao setup, but close enough. There's 2 ways to set up here. If you do it well, like JK, you can even be in front of this wing and get onto this one. The way I usually do it is I line up to get onto this one. And then you just do a couple jumps and you're on them and continue the thing. It's a bit tricky at the start, but it's way easier than Vayao's setup used to be, and it's not RNG dependent. So I definitely recommend implementing that one. With a bit of practice, it's fairly doable, and it will just, in the end, in this attempt, for example, I can forward a little bit. This one was... There we go. So JK, which is on the right, was 10 seconds slower, and he had a very good IL setup in his run. So it's 10 seconds faster than a proper IL attempt used to be, and it's way easier, not RNG dependent. It's a great thing. So yeah, in any case, that's all of them. If you implement all of these, you will be able to transition flawlessly from a boss rush to an any % run. All the other Colossi just work the same as in boss rush. So those you practice in boss rush. For these, ideally you get a save to practice these individually in the any % by saving in a shrine. If you have any questions or want me to elaborate on certain things, feel free to reach out, either over the Discord server or in the YouTube comments here, and I will get back to you. Good luck!